Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss about one of the famous endings in chess, how to fight in the rook endings, one of the famous positions, as we called it, Philidor position. So as you can see here, white is a pawn up. We are going to discuss about the rules, general ideas, how white can fight for winning this position, or if black knows the defensive ideas, how he can defend this position. Let's go for the position and see how we can generate the ideas in this position. Okay, this position it's black to play. As we can see, white is a pawn up. White is going to play king d6, and after that, ready to push his pawn forward. One of the basic ideas in this position for black is cutting the white king by playing rook h6. So this is usual idea in this position. After playing rook h6, we are cutting the white king, not allowing him to play king d6. So this idea is well known for a Philidor defense, first defensive rule in this ending. What's happening here? After this move, we are not allowing the king to go to d6. So any other moves for white is useless. So for example, waiting for rook, we can also wait for our rook here. Nothing is happening here. Only the move remains for white is to push his pawn forward. After e6 move, now another defensive idea so black has to know about is very important for us to know is coming back with the rook to the h1. The idea is if white wants to bring his king forward, I mean king d6, we can go for non-stop checks from d1, king e5, rook e1 check, king f6, rook f1 check, and all the time these non-stop checks are coming, so white cannot escape from these checks. This is famous defensive rule in this ending. We all has to know about this one. But let's talk about that. What if, okay, in this position, it's white to play. What will happen then? For example, let's say black rook is already on g1 and it's white to play. Is there any chance for white to win the position or not? So white has to come forward with the king, because if he wants to go with the pawn push, same position will happen for him. Like after e6, we can go for the checks again. So we have to go for king d6. The idea is now, if black wants to go rook g6 check, it's not working now, because white can push his pawn forward, and then checkmate on a8 is happening. So after king d6, black has to fight somehow. He has to know about the rules. Generally, this idea is not working anymore. He has to find another defensive idea. The most important idea in this position is putting your rook on the behind the passed pawn. So we have to play rook e1. Our rook should be placed behind the opponent's passed pawn. What's happening? White wanted to do check after king f7 to push his pawn forward. But as you can see, now our rook is well placed on the e1 square, so we are not allowing the e6 move coming with check. As we can see, okay, white cannot also push his pawn forward by e6. It's also not working, because we can again start by giving non-stop checks. The only chance for white is to play king e6. So after that threatening checkmate in 1, very important moment of the position is coming. We have to choose between king f8 or king d8 to stop the mating idea. As a rule, in this kind of positions, as we can see, there is a two side to go. One is short side and another is the long side. We have to choose the short side for our king and the long side reserve it for our rook. Later on, we will see where this idea can be used for us. So we are going to use the king f8 move here. What white can do here, he cannot go again for king f8 because this is nothing we can do, check and then come back to e1. This is not useful idea for white. White has to do check here after king g7. Have to push the pawn forward. He cannot go king e7. This is the reason about our rook on e1 Why we put our rook on e1? It's stopping all the tricks from white point of view. So he cannot go king d6 also. Just remember, you should go king f7. Stop the pawn push also. The only remaining idea for white is to putting his rook on the e8 square. You can now find out the idea. He wants to play king d7 to defend his pawn on e5, then to be ready to push his pawn one move forward. So now here coming for us our important idea. As we discussed before, we reserved the short side for our king. Now coming the long side, we reserved it for our rook. We are going to play rook a1 to stop white playing from king d7. If white goes to king d7, we will start our checks, I mean side checks this time. So white cannot run away from our checks. If he comes with king c7, and now it's the time for our king to come f7, and it's an easy draw for us. So let's again come back in this position. We put our rook on a1. Just remember, if white goes rook d8, you should know that. Just think about the rules. Don't forget the rules, because I told you our rook should be placed behind the passed pawn. Whenever the white rook comes to the e8, then we should go for side checks. So now white played rook d8. The idea is if we want to do checks, after king e7, rook a7 check, he is ready to play rook d7, stop our checks. So, but now, if I come back to e1, how he wants to push his pawn forward? It's not working again. So we covered this idea here. Just remember, whenever the rook comes to e8, you should go for rook a1 idea. So generally, this is the second important idea in this kind of endings. I want to tell you some secrets also behind this. For example, if it is, white to play also here, let's say black lost the move here with rook e2, or let's say this position happened in a real game and it's a white to move. What will happen? If white plays king d7, are we going to lose or no? There is a chance still for draw. Of course, there is a chance. Still after king d7, we can go for rook a2, and this is also draw. Because after e6, again, we can start our checks, king d6 checks, and then we can come with our king forward and just take the pawn, and the game will end in an easy draw. I want to tell you something more. We saw that, okay, this was the third defensive idea in the position. Now I'm just going to tell you, if it's again white to play, okay, this is too much. But okay, let's see what's happening. For example, if this position is happening and white to play, white is pushing his pawn forward. Is it lost for black, or still he can save the day? Luckily, black can survive here. But remember, this is the last chance. This is the last chance. There is no other chance for you. You should find the correct ideas to survive in this position. We should go for rook a1. There is no waiting moves. We should absolutely play this correct move. So after, now white can play rook d8. Don't think that you can come back with rook e1 now. It's not working anymore. So we have to start our rook a7 check, king d6 check, king e7 check, and he's playing rook d7, stopping our checks. What we have to do now? Very important for us to know the idea. We have to put our rook on the a8 square to stop white king coming to e8. Actually, there are a lot of ideas here. Rook a1 is also drawing move, but I want to teach you the easiest way to achieve a draw here. But okay, as you know, this is the last drawing chance for the black piece, but this is also one of the ideas that you should know how to defend after this also, because it's not going to end. White is going to try lot of ideas here. For example, he can play something like rook d6, one of the important ideas. You see, like it's coming like a waiting move, but we should know about this one. We are not going to give useless checks here. Remember, actually, this is what white waiting for. If you give rook a7 check, it's lost. Maybe you cannot believe it, but it's happening. If you play rook a7 check after king e8, now we cannot go king f6 because of e7 check. If you play rook a8 check, rook d8, now rook a7 is not possible. What you can do now? Rook a6, I can play e6, and now e7, now after rook d1, and then bringing our king out, pawn is going to become a queen. So it's obvious that black has to watch out. It's not so easy to defend this position, but remember, after rook d6, I'm just telling you, remember simple ideas. Play according to the rules. As a waiting move for black, it's very important to play with his king. Don't touch the rook, because rook is already well placed on the a8. And remember, your rook should be placed as far as possible from the opponent king. So what we are going to play? We are going to play king g6, king g7, king g6, and this is easy draw. So because white cannot trick us in any other variation. One more important idea I'm going to tell you. Let's come back to the position as we discussed about the short side and long side. As I told you, we should go king f8. Think about that. If you are going to king d8, or let's say the position happened for you and your king is already on the d8, what's happening? Are you going to lose, or there is a chance? As you remember from our previous diagram, we talked about the position that we had 4 defensive ideas. But in this position, white is doing the same thing here, putting the rook on e8, and he's ready for king f7 and e6. But remember, in this position, we have only the last and the second defensive idea. You should go with your rook to the side checks. If you lose this chance, and if you think that, okay, you can wait, or still there is a chance to draw, not happening. This is the only and the last chance to draw. After king f7, you can go rook h7 check, and king g6, you can go king d7, attack the opponent rook, and the game will end in a draw. Actually, this is very important. And after rook h1, and if he plays rook g8, you can pause the video and find the best defensive idea for black. I think I told you all about the tricks. What we have to do, we have to come back, excellent, we have to come back with our rook to the e1. As I told you, this is very important idea to put our rook behind the opponent's passed pawn. When he wants to bring the rook to the e8, now he's ready for king f7. Now it's the time for us to play rook h1 and do the side checks. So you can see that by putting our king into the long side, we lost our 2 defensive ideas. But okay, still we had a drawing chance. So better for us to choose the short side. But remember, this long side choosing only giving us a drawing chance in the central pawns. If we put our pawn onto the, for example, f file or the c file, choosing the long side for the king is absolutely losing. Remember this idea. I will try to cover another important like these ideas in other videos for you also. Okay, we reached to the final part of our video. I hope you enjoyed by watching and learning these ideas. If you like our videos, please subscribe our channel and hit the like button. Thank you so much.